Hello and welcome to CGTN. Thank you so much for tuning into CGTN in this hour where we're going to bring you the latest on the Xizang earthquake. A powerful earthquake magnitude 6.8 struck Dingri County in Xizang, that's in southwest China's Xizang Autonomous Region on Tuesday morning. That's 80 kilometers north of the world's highest mountain, Mount Everest. And according to latest numbers, 126 people have confirmed dead, and leaving hundreds injured. Approximately 61,000 people have been affected. Now, shortly after the earthquake on Tuesday, the top leadership of China had demanded thorough search and rescue and also medical assistance work to the earthquake zone. And as of now, 15,000 rescuers have been sent to the earthquake area. And the focus right now has shifted to relocation of the affected villagers and also post-disaster reconstruction work. Now, 224 relocation sites have been set up in affected areas, accommodating 47,000 people. And according to official statements, these people, their basic living needs have been made. Now, CGTN has sent out reporters to Xizang, and some of them being in the epicenter of the earthquake zones. Now, let's cross live to our reporter, Chen Mengfei. She's right now in Lazi County in a relocation center that's around 100 kilometers from the epicenter. Now, Mengfei, can you show us the latest at the relocation center? Tell us some of the latest situation and how has the local authorities done to ensure the safety of the affected residents?
Good afternoon. I'm in Lazi County, which is some 100 kilometers east of the epicenter of this earthquake, which is Dingri County. And as I understand, later on we will see a live stream from my colleagues from Dingri County. But even though casualty was minimum in Lazi County, because as I said, it's about 100 kilometers east from the epicenter, but the houses are still affected. Let our cameraman pan to the houses here. Simon, if you can show them that there are some cracks in these houses. So even though, they have not collapsed, because these are government-built houses for people who have a rather low income or special need. So these houses did not collapse, thankfully, but you can still see the cracks here. And that's why people here do not feel safe to stay in them. Consider, there might be aftershocks, there might be another earthquake, who knows. So that's why they've all moved to the center of this gated community to set up the tents there. And we will bring you what it looks like inside these tents in a second. So what's happening here is that, as we understand, this morning, local government sent in batches of cow manure, which is used to be burned inside these tents to help them stay warm. So these are the cow manures. And earlier we saw pretty much everyone in this gated community gather here to scooter these cow manures back to their tents, to burn, to cook, to help them stay safe. In fact, we can, Simon, we can ask these people where they're taking them. 你好，咱们这个牛粪是要拉到哪里去啊？啊？拉家里。谢谢。So as you can see, the older generation here in Xizang, a lot of them don't speak, the Mandarin, standard Mandarin, but the younger kids, because they all go to school and they teach in Mandarin, so we can actually communicate with them. And this is a worker who has been helping the affected residents here with their daily needs and things like that. There are lots of kids in this community, as I believe you must have seen from all these reports from Xizang. People here tend to have 3 to 4 kids per family, so there are lots of kids, and thankfully they seem to be in good spirit. And there are dogs and cows that belong to the houses who just, seem to carry on with life as normal. 您好. So this is a man I met yesterday in the community who has an extremely adorable golden retriever. 您好，能向我们介绍一下您的情况吗？
我是在这边那个 开那个救援车的，就是那个，然后
这个是你的车？
对，公司的。
对 ，This is a rescue truck that is used that when cars nearby break down, he can drive this tow truck to help these cars.
如果有那个就是灾民，他们那个车子没有保险，然后需要救援的话，我们就会给他们那个免费救援。
So he provides free rescue service for when people's cars break down for people who are affected by the earthquake. 那您平时住在哪里？
我就住在这儿。
所以您自己也是灾民？
还好吧，算是吧。
对，因为咱们的房子没有塌。
对，只是说房子没有塌。那天地震的时候，我正好在那个刚好救援回来，然后在那个家里。
So he lives in this gated community himself, and I think, as I understand, he normally does car repair rescue for a living, but now in this special time, he does these things for free. 我的理解就是您平时就是做车辆救援，但是现在因为灾情，咱们就是免费了，是吧？
对。
您今天有什么计划吗？
今天那个一会儿那个。要去县城里面有一个受灾的一个车辆，然后要给他救援的日喀则。
So today his job is to take one car that's broken down in the county, in the Lazi County. Then he will send it to Xizang, which is about 4 hours drive away. 要4个小时吧左右开过去。
差不多。
差不多，我们昨天大概4个小时。能给我们介绍一下您的这个宠物吗？我看咱们这个里面其实养宠物的人挺多的哈。
对，这边养宠物的挺多的，小朋友这些都挺喜欢那个狗狗的。这个它叫傻妞。
傻妞。
对，7个月。
She's so young. She's only 7 months old. 你们喜欢傻妞吗？喜欢跟它玩吗？ So these dogs, I think they can probably provide some therapeutic value in this time of difficulty. 您觉得傻妞在这个地震之后能不能起到一些给大家安慰的作用呀？
还行吧。那个有时候我没有救援的时候会带它下来，然后它会和这些小朋友会和它一起玩。小朋友也挺喜欢它的。
So when he's not busy rescuing cars, he takes Shanyu around to play with these kids, to just bring some joy in the community. 这个狗狗地震前有给您预警吗？
没有。
So, I asked him if Shanyu provided any warning before the earthquake struck, and she didn't. But it's okay. You're still a good girl. 谢谢您。
好的。
拜拜。
好，再见。
拜拜，傻妞。So that's one guy who lives in this community who's still doing his normal job of rescuing cars. As you can see, there are actually many houses in this community, and yesterday we went into one of these houses and they're very beautiful inside. So I think very soon, either today or tomorrow, special workers whose job is to assess the safety of these buildings will come here and tell people, what's going to happen, can they move back, do these houses need to be rebuilt, and if that's the case, then post-disaster construction will take place. We read on the news that very much soon after the earthquake struck, the NDRC, the National Department of Reform, issued 100 million RMB for post-disaster reconstruction. So, that kind of money will be used to help them rebuild. As you can see, there are lots of bikes around. So the kids, surprisingly are living a pretty normal life. They are on their winter vacation, which is 3 months, from last month to about March. And so they were on their break, and now their life is not that disrupted because they were not in school already. So this is one family I spent some time with yesterday, and we're going to talk to them and see the tent. 您好。
你好。
您在做什么呢？
我做旗子。
这是哪来的旗子呀？
这是国家刚给的。
您看到这个旗子有什么感觉？
这个我受不了了。
So he's putting up this flag, which was given to them today by the community worker, because of all the help they've been receiving in the past few days. Seeing this flag here is quite symbolic. It means that the government, the state, everyone in the country has their back. When we've talked to the construction workers, the rescue workers nearby in the past few days, what they say is that, they often quote what President Xi Jinping said right after the disaster, that, it's absolute priority to ensure people here can have a warm winter, and that's all the focus of the effort is about. And that is extremely reassuring for the local people to know that, this order has been given by the president himself, and that will, definitely be carried out. So this is their son, who is 4-year-old. Do you want to say hi to our camera? 打个招呼吗?
Hello.
哎呦, you can speak English now. Wow, 你现在都会说英语啦。你跟大家介绍一下你自己。
我叫阿洛桑。
我
年龄4岁。
Yeah, can you show us your tent? 能让我们看看你现在住的这个帐篷长什么样子吗？
可以。
好，那你带我们进去。Oh, be careful. Hello, 阿姨好。你觉得这个帐篷你住着舒服吗？
舒服。
So I asked him, if it's comfy to live in this tent, and he says it is. 你妹妹呢？
我妹妹在那。
Oh, yeah. So they have a very, very young baby who's just 6 months old. It's a baby girl. 你能给大家看看你的妹妹吗？
可以。
She is sleeping very soundly in this tent. 你昨天晚上大概温度挺低的，大概-8度。我看那个天气预报上面写，你晚上在这个那个帐篷里面冷不冷呀？
不冷。
真的不冷吗？
真的。
I asked him if, temperature drops to as low as -0 in this area, Lazi County. I asked him if it's cold at night, and he says it's not cold. But, when I talk to other residents, they say it is cold at night in this tent, because as you can see, these are pretty thin materials, and that's why the local government has asked for help from construction companies who are based in Lhasa, who have brought in these pre-made homes that are warmer, that will have electricity. So I believe my colleague will show you these pre-made houses that are being lifted, in the area that they will hopefully move into very soon. And these pre-made houses will be where they sleep in for the next few months, maybe, until, their houses are safe to return to, or their houses are being built. We can see that there seems like they're making lunch here. 阿姨，你在做午餐吗？
对，这个昨天生下来的，我今天就热着就吃糌粑一起吃嘛。
这是什么呀？给我们介绍一下吃的。
头肚、猪肉，还有那个大白菜。
They have potato, cabbage, and pork for lunch. So it's really nice, they can have a warm meal for their life in the tent. 您觉得现在怎么样在这个帐篷里面？
现在好开心，这个里面真的。对。
She says she's happy in the tent. 我昨天跟您聊的时候，您说您现在最大的这个关心是什么？您能跟我们介绍一下吗？
棚子。
就是安全，是不是？
对，这个里面安全，挺安全的。对，还有吃的呀、穿的，还有床，那些铺盖全部都国家给的嘛。那这个里面好，好就是。
So she's saying her biggest concern is just safety at this point, and she feels safe in this tent. There's food, there's bed, there are these blankets given by the government.
还有吃的菜呀，这些糌粑呀，还有矿泉水呀，还有牛粪呀，全部都。
牛粪是今天过来的。
对，今天过来的，今天一大堆，还有这些水呀，这些全部都国家发的。
So all these water. they have drinking water that is given by the local government. They have these cow manures that are used for heating. 这里面烧的就是这个牛粪，对。
对，牛粪，现在化的嘛。
So they rely on the cow manure to keep it warm, to burn the stove. 这个牛粪比木头要好用吗？
对，好用。
为什么？
这个好难活。
哦，是不是烟也少一点？
就烟也少一点，
烟也少一点，对吧？
木头烧多的时候，马上就感冒了。
感冒了嘛，这个烟太多了。就这个好。
这个好。
So compared to wood, cow manure has the advantage of providing lots of heat without the smoke. So it's much very convenient in the enclosed environment as a tent. 你还有什么想跟我们说的吗，阿罗桑？
我没有说的了。
So no further comment from Alo-san, and I think that also concludes this segment of our live streaming from the resettlement site in Lazi County.
All right, that's our reporter Chen Mengfei bring us live in a relocation center in Lazi County. That's around 100 kilometers from the epicenter, Dingri County. Now, she just showed us some of the latest situation in a relocation center where I think a lot of people are in really good spirit. The gentleman she spoke to is walking his dog, and a lot of young kids seem to be in really good spirits. They are happy that they are safe right now, although may not be that warm at this point, but they did been offered some of the warmth efforts, including giving them coats and also other efforts to keep them safe and also warm in this area. As we said, this is an area that is very remote with high altitude. Sometimes overnight the temperature can drop down to negative 15 to even 18 degrees. Now, our reporter, Niu Honglin, she is in the epicenter of Dingri County, and I think she is in a village named Zuochuo. And she's with the affected local residents right now. Let's cross dive to our reporter Niu there and see what she has the latest for us.
Thank you. Hi, this is Niu Honglin. I am in Chulo Township in Zuochuo Village. As you can see here, we are in one of the settlement let's say the settlement area, resettlement area. It's a temporary one, and this township, or actually this village, the Zuochuo village, is a village with 4 gathering areas for residents, for farmers. They like to find a place to live so that they have enough area for farming, for agricultural activity. So they live in Chinese what we call it 自然村, or natural living habitat, or natural gathering together places. And this is one of the place. And when it comes to, I'm pretty sure you might already know this, but when it comes to the resettlement, temporary resettlement area, as well as the future temporary housing for these people, villagers get to choose their own areas. They would choose a location to have the tents set up so that they live near their original living area, so they can take care of their farming animals as well as the crops, so that they can still maintain their relatively standard and usual way of living. And this is around the time for Xizang people to actually have lunch here, because Xizang is in the relatively western area of China, and it's a huge autonomous region. So here, for example, we are in Dingri County, and this morning sun rises around 9 o'clock in the morning. So 1 o'clock is relatively the time for people to start their day having breakfast. They would have breakfast around 10 and have lunch around 1 and 2. So we're right on time to see how they solve the problem or solve the issue of having lunch. And as you can see, we have several tents here. We already talked about here in this village. There are 4 natural gathering areas. In this village, there are around 700 people. And in this specific gathering place, there are around 140 villagers. And they now currently are all living in these temporary tents. We can take a look. And I have talked to people working in this area. Now they are distribute clothing for kids to spend the winter. Here in Xizang, one thing for sure is that it's a high altitude plateau, meaning that whoever's living here have to, well, they're pretty much endured and pretty much okay with the high altitude. Yet for us, for people who are coming into rescue, coming into helping those who are suffered in this disaster, would definitely experience the high altitude sickness. And another thing is, with this really high altitude in the winter area, in the winter season, it's quite cold in here. It's the middle of the day, so it's not that bad. It's still above 0 degrees Celsius. Yet we can see that people are still wearing their cotton clothing. It's still quite cold up here, and with the temperature getting lowered, you can also see that the oxygen level in the air would be affected, and now kids are getting distributed of their winter clothing. Let's take a closer look. You see, none of these clothings are actually quite standard. You're not seeing uniforms. Most of these clothings are actually sent to these areas by volunteers, by people who are trying to help the residents, the kids in this area. So yes, these supplies are all donated. And this morning, when I was talking to the villagers in this place, in the Zuocuo village, they were saying that they have got almost all of the supplies, because even though this is a sparsely populated area, even though it's on the high plateau, actually after 2 days after the earthquake, we're already seeing a lot of supplies, food, fresh water, hot clothes, as well as equipment helping people to set up fires so that they can get warm in the area, have already coming in. So they do not lack these kind of supplies in the area. Yet one supply that is definitely in need would be clothing, specifically clothing for kids to spend the winter, because it's quite cold here. And you know, kids, they recover really fast from the disaster. When I was here, when I talked to some of the kids, they have already started to talk to me and even sharing their snacks with me. That was a very touching moment that I cannot begin to describe. And for them, their needs are also seen, and we see a lot of these donated or these donations of kids' clothing. They're all in different colors, in different size. So instead of having every people's or every little kid's size registered, what is being done is to have all the clothing here, so everyone can just come here and try it on and get the shoes, get the coating they need. And yeah, that is the very simple yet very effective way of distributing these clothes. And here we see, let's talk to them a little bit. 老师，您在收拾是不是？
对。
那个能介绍一下自己吗？
可以。我是曲洛乡左侧村科技专干。
科技专干。So when it comes, you're telling me that you are working on the technology side of the Chulo township. So in the township, when it comes to technologies, in I think the most developed places, you think about artificial intelligence, you think about low altitude economy. Yet here we are thinking about how, well, we are already connected quite much to the internet, but people might still need aid, for example, of such technology. 那科技专干负责什么工作啊？
主要的是科技之类的。
举个例子呢？
那些畜牧
相关的科技，
对，畜牧相关的，
会有一些设备，还是说联网相关的，是哪些具体内容有吗？
具体
畜牧相关的设备。
对。
So she would be helping people here getting more skillful when it comes to the farming and agricultural equipment. That's her job. But during these very special period of time, apparently she's also helping with the disaster relief work. 那在这个受灾期间，是不是会有一些其他的工作？
受灾期间主要给群众发放物资。对。然后那些要去看那个这些 安置点什么的。
So yeah, like I assumed she's working on distributing different supplies, like what she's doing right now, distributing supplies and goods to people who are suffering from the disaster or who had been struck by the disaster. And also she is traveling among all these different relocation areas or resettlement areas. We talked about there are around 4 so-called natural villages or natural gathering areas in the village. Yet there are, as far as I know, 19 different of these kind of relocating areas, because the tents, again, are chosen by people who would be living here. They choose the place to get closer to their original homes. They choose these places to get closer, to be close to where they can conduct their agricultural activity. Even though it's only the 5th day after the earthquake, I've talked to certain villagers. They have already said that they would come back to take care of the ox, of the cows, of the maoniu in Xizang area that they've raised. So I think lives are going on and their actual labor is also conducted.
那我想问一下，咱们的这些小朋友的衣服，这些东西都是捐赠的，是吗？
对对对，是捐赠的。
那就是物资是怎么分配的？比如说是先到哪里，然后由谁来分配给不同的村？
对对对，不同的村。
是县分配给乡，还是说就会直接到乡里？
县分到那个乡里，然后乡分到村里，然后村就我们自己分。
但是我看这些大小也没法统计，就现场定是吗？
不是，这次的话应该是他们私人吧，私人捐的吧，应该就是对。
是谁捐的？
就是他们私人，他们自己，就他们几个，他们愿意在这里捐。
是这样的。Actually, when it comes to the donating of goods, there are different ways. We've talked to many different organizations distributing or donating goods and supplies to the disaster-struck area. And there are different types. For example, one type is that you can connect with or communicate with the Dingri County, and they would accept your kindness and accept your goods, and they would organize the goods so that they can distribute the goods to different township, and township would think about the actual needs of different villages and then put these supplies into different villages. But this one, for example, is a different kind. It's another kind. That is for any organization. If you have a special connection to a village, to a township, then you can decide to directly transport your goods into this village, and that's what they're doing. So instead of going through the all of the process, you can directly go to the place where you want to donate the goods, and you can see the smile on the kids' faces. That's very lovely. And we've promised to show you how they have lunch, so let's go visit them and see how they have lunch. 我们有没有可能去看一下，就是现在这个群众是怎么吃饭的？现在不是大概是午饭时间吗？可以去看一下吗？
可以去。
Okay, so she said we can go and take a look at them, so let's take a look. We can see that there are not that many different tents here, only around 100 people. In each tent, they can, well, actually, usually speaking, there would be around 5-6 people living in one tent. That's the usual situation, because here in Xizang, we know that they can, well, one family can stand in one tent, so around 5-6 people is the case. And 您好 hello, hi, 您好，怎么称呼？好，
你妈，
你们老人您好，好，这还好吗？现在这个咱们帐篷里面住着多少人呀？住几口人 ？How many people are living in here? 6个人，6 people. So that's 是一家6个人，是吗？一家6口，6 people living.
对，6个人。
So 6 people living here, and we see that their life supplies are already here. 咱们这个里边可以做饭吗？ Can we cook in the tents usually?
可以做饭，都是那这一单的。都是那这一单的。
对的。
那咱平时做吗？
平那么就都是的。
对的。
都做些什么呀？
都做那的。
都看这什么这是的。 在这上或者是的，白豆蛋或者看得到。菜呀，什么面呀，什么的。
Oh. By the way, as you can see, I cannot really directly communicate with them because in this village, well, actually in the townships, 咱们整个乡都是藏族，是吧？我刚才问的时候 yes. So the entirety of this county. Of this township, excuse me, of the township are people with the Zang ethnic group. And if you ask me, based on my experience, the younger generation can speak both Mandarin. Oh, these are their food, the raw ingredient. They are cooking and they're about to cook. Maybe not today, but definitely in their everyday life. And back to the language issue, the language thing is that most of the people living here are still used to speaking their own language. And Xizang Zangyu, and I do not speak the language. That's why I have my friend very kindly giving me the help of translating. So what you're going to hear is the Tibetan language, and then back to me to Chinese, and then I would translate it to English. So that's the situation here. But one thing is, for the kids, for the teenagers, especially those who go to other cities, other provinces in the country to get further study, to get their university education, they can speak both languages, which makes it easier for me to communicate with them. So that's the situation. 咱们现在这个肉切的是一会儿要煮，还是说一会儿我们就是就这样就可以了？是熟的。I'm trying to ask whether or not the raw looks very tasty. 这是牛肉是吗？very tasty beef you've looked at are raw ingredient or kind of deli that we can already eat. 是可以已经可以吃的吗？还是要一会儿再煮一下？已经这个煮完了，已经可以吃。哦，这是煮完的。
羊肉。
哦。You're looking at the Chinese style, Xizang style beef sandwich. So they have already used that pot to cook the beef. And then that's the final product we have. Well, semi-final product, because with this Chinese cooked, baked cake, this pastry will cut it open and put the beef in. So you've got the Chinese style 肉夹馍, that's what we call it. 肉夹馍, meat with, a meat sandwich. 谢谢您，打扰了，希望以后一切顺利。谢谢。Thank you. Okay, let's see how other people are trying to find a way to have a hot meal. Because a thing about the Chinese people that I'm not really sure our viewers and friends from outside of the country understands is that hot water as well as hot food, something very, very important to Chinese people. I feel like sometimes our stomach is the source of our strength. We need hot water. If you've seen some Chinese people in your country, maybe if you own a restaurant, something you would hear, some requests from Chinese visitors you would hear would be, can I have a cup of hot water? It's something we really, really need. And that is why or whether there is a disaster or these kind of devastating disaster, the very first thing that people would want or local government would want to send in place is definitely tents, so people have a place to stay. And almost the second most important thing would be hot water, and a place to keep people warm and a place to give them hot water so they can have some food. Actually, as fast as within I think 10 hours after the earthquake, when the tents were set up, many of the disaster-struck people have already got the access of hot water, so they can at least have some instant noodle, which are, again, hot food, something very important to Chinese people. That's why I keep asking this question, how do you get access to hot water? How do you get access to hot food, whether or not you can cook in your own tent? And as we've already seen, they can cook in their own tent. 所以现在咱们几乎是每一个帐篷都是可以做饭的，就煮热水、烧水、做饭都是可以的。
可以的。
什么时候就可以了？就是帐篷一搭起来，基本上1-2天，还是说就当时就可以？
就当时晚上就可以了。
7号晚上就可以了。
对的。
The very night after the disaster, after the earthquake, actually, it's already possible for people to have hot water. Now we're visiting another family here. 你好。 哦，你说普通话是吗？
对，普通话
We
可以
have。someone speaking Chinese, not matter to you, but matters to me. And 哦，你好，咱们这个帐篷里面住奶奶，您好，您好，嗨，您好，
看上去。
康桑，康桑，康桑，康桑，康桑。And 我们这个帐篷现在住多少人呀
6口人，
？6口人。
对是我爸爸，还有我妈妈、奶奶，我还有我姐姐，还有弟弟。
哦，三个孩子。
3个孩子，3个大人。
3个大人。
对。
So we have the grandma, the parents in the family, as well as 3 kids in the family, and they're all currently living in the tent. And again, like the previous one, we already seeing some raw meat here, so that whenever they can, whenever they want. Oh, sorry, 不好意思。They can cook 啊，那咱们这个现在屋子里面都可以开火是吧？
可以，对，已经安定好了。对。
Oh, so we can actually cook. And here I've already seen some. 我可以看一眼吗？
可以。
See some very hot food. Let's take a look. That's the steamed bun, hot, with a little sense of comfortness for sure for Chinese people. 所以咱们现在平时还是蒸这种方便的比较多，是吗？
方便的，现在蒸的是这种比较方便的吧。
就我看东西可能还需要整理一下。
哦，对，需要整理一下。
It's again only the 5th day after the earthquake. They've got a lot of different supply from the local government, from different organizations, and they also got some of their own stuff from their housing. 我想问一下，咱们现在是不是已经有一些就是原来群众自己的东西也出来了，就会还给大家，就给到大家，大家也在收拾和安置，是这样吗？
对，消防员帮他们在
找，
对，在找，
就会还给他们。
对。
所以大家就是我看有很多东西看着像自己的，是吧？就不都是说捐的物资。
对，
都有哈。Okay, so again, on top of the supplies that's been distributed to them, their original stuff are also continuously getting dug out by firefighters, and these stuff would be sending back to the homes so that they can get their original stuff. And several days later, I heard that the housing would be arranged. The very fast housing let's say arrangements is already in place. I think after several days, we can already see people getting moved to the house that they would stay for around a year after their homes and houses are completed with the help of local government. 那我们再去其他的地方再看一看。谢谢 ，Thank you， 谢谢。怎么说谢谢？투지치. I'm learning Tibetan language. That's the thing. I think I really. 我们去这边看看吗？ When you get to a place, it's really hard for you not to get touch with the local culture. And this is already my 2nd time in Xizang Autonomous Region, and I don't know. I'm feeling the connection. Okay, 这是在外面户外做。
对，可以外面做，也可以里面做。对。
这还可以挪进去是吗？这个是个移动的吗？
可以移动。
So this is a portable pot, and actually the stove as well as the pot can be moved around so that we can see who actually needs it. And let me see. 都可以。Oh, this looks great. 在外面放。Because it's quite warm during daytime. That's why these pot are put outside. And 这是一些内脏是吗？
对，肉呀什么之类的。
这些怎么吃啊？
煮着。
就是我的意思，煮完之后是要调一下，还是再跟什么菜一起，还是做汤？
跟馒头呀、糌粑呀
也是做
哦。
Okay, so these are some intestines. Chinese people are quite skillful when it comes to cooking intestines. Very delicious. 这个呢，这个可以开一下吧。这边没有也有。These are water. I think boiled water, hot water. So sometimes when we cook, we would add these almost broth, very clear broth, into this one, so that you have enough time to boil the very delicious meat.
这个煮完了再洗，然后可以跟饼子呀、馒头呀一起吃。
So after boiling them for a relatively period of long time, local people would also wash it a little bit, cut it or slice it, and then having them putting in as a kind of filling into the cake we've seen or the bread we've seen. 那我们还可以再看一下不？好呀，我们走过去看看。其实就感觉这里并没有很大，是不是？就这个区也就100多人。
对对对，就143人。
143 哦 143 people living in this tent area, and yeah, it's quite near to their home, so I think that's why they're staying here. And let's go and find out. Oh, these are a pile of supplies. 物资就堆在这边可以的吗？不会晚上太冷吗？
这个待会儿可以分，待会儿我们叫那个组长，然后村的组长，然后
所以一般就是一拉过来就当天就会分掉，
对对对对，
晚上是不会过夜的，因为太冷了嘛。
不过夜不过夜。
那这些
今天的话我们比较忙，今天就当天就
当天都会分掉。
对，
那今天的这些是从这个哪儿来的呀？
都是反正都到县里嘛，然后
县里过来的。
哦
，so these
然后乡给我们分。对。
These are actually supplies distributed from the area. Well, there's distributed from the county and then from the county to the township and to the village. And I asked her whether or not it's too cold to have all these supplies put in outside areas. And she told me that there's no need to worry because what they do, they're in really swift reaction process. Actually, whenever the supply is here, they would distribute them on that very day so that all these supplies would be distributed to villagers' hands instead of having them stayed out. Because if you take a look, we have instant noodles here, we have beverage, different types of beverage here, and 这是什么呀？
这是做酥油茶的那个。
做酥油茶的。This is used. All these are tea that people can use to make butter tea, and those are. Yes, are the buns that they can eat. 这边还有 different types of beverage, canned food, canned meat. Oh, these are edible oils, so all different types of food. Those are flour out there. So again, we do not lack supply already after 5 days, and people are getting back to their life. And actually, I also asked them, 咱们这个除了咱们自己做，因为我听说有一些这个咱们有一些群众除了这个这些吃的之外，我听说还有专门有志愿者过来给我们做这个热菜热饭，是不是？
对的。
那我们可以过去看一下吗？
可以。
Okay, so one other point that I've discovered when I'm here is that on top of being able to cook in their own tents and also being able to cook outside in the outside area with the portable utensils, actually there is a voluntary team providing freshly made food. To be more specific, noodles over there. Not so far, but let's walk over there and take a look. I asked them why local villagers would choose that area to be the tent setting up area. Why not a little bit closer to the roads? Why not a little bit closer to the, noodle making place? And she told me that the reason is that this is their farming land. They do not want to do anything to their farming land. They're much looking forward to continue their life in the coming year. So they've chosen that area to be the temporary tent area. They've also chosen that area to be the temporary housing area so that when they move into the relatively temporary houses, they would be able to continue their agricultural activity here in the farming land. It's actually a very beautiful place, yet it's right in the foot of those mountains you get to see far away. Well, it's still quite safe because it's not that close, yet I think the natural situation, the condition is still quite harsh, which makes me want to pay respect to people living here, especially in this hardship situation. Okay, we're really quite close, so if you take a look at over there, that is the freshly cooked noodle area. As far as I know, those area is from the volunteers, and later on we will have reporters giving you more information about the volunteering team. It's not their first time helping people around, so I personally am also looking very much forward to interview them, and hopefully all these stories could give you inspiration. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you very much. Back to the studio.
All right, that's our reporter. Her name is Liu Honglin. Lots of respect to Honglin. She just brought us live from the epicenter of Dingri County. She's in the village named Zuocuo, showing us some of the distribution scenes of villagers getting, donated clothes, many of them from, within the counties, but their donation coming from all across the world after China's central leadership has asked for all-out efforts sent to the area. And it's great to see a lot of people in great spirit, and, a lot of them are sent to temporary shelters, and they are offered enough food, and they have enough clothes to keep them warm. Let me remind you, this is not a metropolis like Beijing or Shanghai. This is a very remote area with a very high altitude, probably one of the highest altitude in the world, with an average altitude of over 4,300 meters above sea level. So it's great to see our reporter can actually do a live of over 20 minutes because, even for people in great shape, it's very normal to get out of breath very easily in those high altitude areas. Now let's cross live to another reporter who's also in the epicenter of Dingri County. She is in Cuang village, and I believe they're distributing lunches over there, and let's see what's going on there.
Hi, here I'm in Cuang village located in the Quluo Township, which is the place where hit the most by the earthquake this time. And actually you can see behind me, this resettlement already there are already 79 portable houses has been built here. So after they finish the construction, all the local residents can move in those shelters. And today we're going to take you to go through the process going here, and also to see how the local residents' living conditions now. So first, now it's actually the lunchtime in this place, and you can see from the firefighter department, they are preparing some food, and then they are giving to the local residents because they just moved to this place. And they find out that they actually need some food supplies. So yes, so let's go a little bit to check the conditions here. Actually, last night, first the family already moved into one of these portable houses, and this morning, the head of this village already counting the numbers of the families and trying to divide all those houses for each family. So we also saw the head of the village. She's here. Let's talk to her and to get to know more information. Hi, 您好，我们想请您介绍一下，目前这一块它的一个安置的一个情况。
我们这边有总共111户，总人数呢有632。我们把这边盖了这个一次性房子有79间，5个人以上有2间。5个人以下有1间。我们从昨天晚上开始搬到这边， 就是这样。
Which I just translated a bit. She just told me actually here total there are 79 portable houses for about 100 families. In total, it's like around 600 people, and they actually divided each houses for 5 people can live in one house, and more than 5 people they can get 2 houses. 那个就是目前的这个79间的话，它满足这里的需求吗？
他们5人的话，把这个一次性房子比较小一点了，我们就这样说的话，他们有点住不下。我们这边住的有总共315人。
还有一个点是吧？就是这一个点是
这一个点，还有上面有一个点。这边有51户，这里有51户，有总人数呢315人，就是
好的。
我们从昨天晚上开始搬，还是没搬完，还正在搬。
今天能够全部都？
大概今天下午可能搬得完。
好的。然后he just told me actually in this place there are 51 families, and they gonna move in this place in this afternoon. And for the other sides, just not far from this place, there is another half of the village people gonna stay in another resettlement. 那你们就是说，目前这里的分房情况已经结束了，就是那就是还会再增加吗？就是
跟领导说，我们不够的话，他们给我们增加。我们准备要，大概这里要多少间，我们统计一下，准备汇报。
你目前汇报的情况是怎么样的？
现在我这边有点忙，这些维修啊、钥匙啊、锁啊这些没有的在统计。这个统计完了，我到村委会去，我们村里班子组合，我们要统计一下，这边要几间，那些已经统计的话，我们要数据报。
好的，好的，谢谢您，谢谢您，您忙，你先忙。Yes, actually, from the information that she gave me, it's like she just mentioned this kind of room. It's not enough for 5 adults. So actually, they are still counting now. Maybe there will be more people need more portable houses. So they're gonna gather all the statistics and then trying to report to the local government, and then they were trying to gather more resources here. Okay, so I just mentioned last night, actually, first family from this place already moved into one of the portable house. So let's go inside and check how's the conditions here. Okay, maybe we just wait a little bit because there is another team inside. Yeah, actually yesterday we also visited some construction sites where the portable houses are being underway. In this kind of portable houses, they are much more stable, much more warmer than the temporary tents, because as the winters goes on, the temperature drops very quickly at night. So for now, maybe in the next week, the tent is so hard to stand at night. So that's why every resettlement site now, the different departments are trying to racing the time to finish all the construction in order let all the people to move inside. And okay, and also let's talk to some of the locals and to find out how they are think about the right now situation. 你好，你好。
你好。
您是这个村子的
对，村民。
那你这个今天早上说是这边正在分房，你这边的分房情况是怎么样的？
现在大部分都分完了。
您这边家庭情况是怎么样的？
我这边家庭情况还好。
就说你家是分到了多少间呢
？2间，现在我们是6个人嘛，按照户口上面走的嘛。然后就是5个人以下，包括5个人就是1间。6个人包括就是上面的都 是2间，对。
Okay, and he told me actually for him, he has a family with 6 people in total, so they actually get 2 rooms in together. 那你们知道就是说你大概什么时候可以搬进来吗？
现在有些就是那些房子好的呀，那些就是没问题的那些可以搬进来了。现在有些就是没完全，有些就是什么嘛，就是锁呀这些不好，窗户呀那些要修的嘛。
那还有我们这个房子里面的设施呢，大概什么时候知道会进来呢？
这个。这他们就是这边弄完了，电呀那些全部弄完了，就我们可以搬进来了。
觉得明天可以？
明天，现在还没通知，就差不多明天或者后天就可以搬进来。
然后你觉得整个这个安置速度怎么样？从这个地震到现在，你觉得这个？
很快的，对，出乎意料。
谢谢你，谢谢你。Yeah, actually, he told me, they probably can move in this kind of a portable house in 2 days, and he also praised the speed of the rescue and also the resettlement situation. Okay, now let's just go inside. I think the family, they are having their lunch now. Okay. 好。Hi. 好，就是 here you can see it's actually around 18 square meters. And this kind of a portable house has an integrated design. They have the electricity chargers and all the things installed already. And here we can see 4 beds in this room. And it can for 6 to 8 people, if including some children. But it's for adults. Yeah, it's true. It's a little bit small. Yeah. And also, we also can see in this place, the heaters already set up as well. So when their lives goes on, they can also cook their butter tea and cook their meal here. And also at night, they will feel more warm here as well. 谢谢。好。Yeah. Okay. Okay, here we can see some construction and decorations are still going on, and all the other facilities like the bed, like other resources like beds, like the heaters, the tables, and also other necessary stuff's gonna gradually come out this afternoon. Also here we can see they are still trying to put more affordable portable houses here. Oh, okay. Okay. Now we are trying to the office here, and then to get to know and how they are gonna take care of the meals. 哎，你好。
你好。
你好。我们想知道，就是这边的话，你们大概就是会给他们提供这样子的一个多长时间呢？就是。
只要我们在这里一直提供。只要群众有需要，我们一直提供。
那就是他们这边的话，大概多久他们可以自己住在这个里面，然后开始这样子？
大概3、5天之内应该就没有问题啊。
我听之前说是你们是自发的，在看到了这边的情况，然后自发过来的，是吗？
是的，是的。
你给我们介绍一下你们是怎么考虑要到这边来提供这样子？
因为我们到这边的时候，看到群众他们都没有热饭吃，因为我们心里面 也难受，也感觉我们应该帮助他们，所以说我们就过来了，是这样的。
好的，就是你们中午和晚上都会提供。
都会提供。
好的，谢谢你，你们辛苦。
没有。
Yeah, actually, the officer told me their main job actually is helping people to find their goods but when they arrive here, they find the local people actually has difficulty cooking the meal. So they just started yesterday. They began to come here to provide all these hot meals for the locals, because they still take times for them to get used to the lives here and get used to the new places. Also, it takes some time for them to move their house goods to the new portable houses and to start cooking the meals. Okay, actually today in my site, the situation is like this. So now we are giving back to the Beijing studio.
Now that's our reporter, Gong Ming. She is right now at the village of Cuoang in the epicenter of Dingri County. I think one thing that our reporter has been keep on stressing is hot water and hot food, not just because, hot means something very different for Chinese people. We always crave for something hot whenever we are in hunger, but also at this time, especially, I've been talking about how freezing the weather could be. Right now, the sun is out, but overnight, the weather could really drop down to negative 15 to 18 degrees. And a lot of the villagers here live in really remote areas. Many of them, we call it natural gathering villages, but really they're living by the mountains. So the conditions can be really bad with really weak infrastructure. Now, a lot of their food are nothing like, like your stereotype Chinese delicacies. It's nothing like that. But what they want to eat right now is just some hot food. And now let's cross back to our reporter, New Honglin. I think she find out some of the distributing lunch scenes right now. And she's showing us if the locals there have sufficient hot food. Honglin.
Already, but the tribute is convenient. Let's say we have a lot of Come back. Well, we've experienced a little bit technical issue, but you get to imagine what you do when you're queuing up for food. You check your phone, see your Instagram, see whether or not your Facebook friends have replied. So that's what villagers here did before they get their food. And after these several minutes, which is actually quite swift and quite fast, they are already having their food, sitting over here, eating the freshly made noodles. These noodles are actually Lanzhou specialty. We call it Lanzhou Lamian in Chinese. Lanzhou Lamian is quite tasty. As someone who's have a carbon mind, a carbon stomach, I have been standing here enjoying this really lovely smell and loving it so much. So yeah, as you can see, all of the ingredients, the fresh broth, the Chinese chives, the very delicious, looks so great chili sauce, as well as the beef, all of these are freshly made. They are made not even just today or this morning, they're made just right over there, right then. And right in here, we get to see our very skillful chefs cooking. The reason we call it la mian is like stretch noodle. You stretch it long and stretch it thin. Ooh. You know, you can even customize the thickness of the noodle. You can ask for the relatively thicker ones, so they get really chewy. You can also have the relatively thinner ones, so it's very easy to digest, so different types of food. And I've talked to the volunteering team here, and they said their team actually is composed with several different ethnic groups. They have Han ethnic group in their team. They have, of course, the Tibetan people in their team. They've also got Hui ethnic group in their team, as well as, well, I will have to check my notes. I talked to them a bit earlier. We've got another 2 ethnic groups here in the voluntary team, and they are, all of these ethnic groups, well, they are Sala ethnic group and Dongxiang ethnic group. They're originally located in Gansu province, which is not so super far away from Xizang Autonomous Region, yet these volunteers have been living in Xizang. They're in Lhasa, and they come here in rescue the moment they heard about the earthquake. So the team of dozens of people, as well as the first batch of supply, when saying supply, actually what I mean is delicious food as well, including flour, broth, meat, all the condiments come along with them. But when they settle here, not only in this village, but also the other natural gatherings I talked about in other villages as well, they have set up several locations, so they provide local villagers with this freshly made meal, and they are definitely enjoying it. If you can take a look, well, most of them have finished, but it's still a very simple setting. But I think as long as you have freshly made hot food, you have people sending clothing so that you do not worry about the coming, actually existing winter and the coming new year, you're in good hands. And as long as all of those are secured, the hope of continuing making great life is there. So this is how they have lunch. This is how they continue living. This is how they continue creating a beautiful future with their own hands. Thank you so much. Back to the studio.
Thank you so much, Honglin. I hope you can get some hot noodles after the live stream. That's our reporter, New Honglin, bringing us alive in the epicenter of Dingri County. She's right now at the village called Zuocuo County, showing us some of the very precious moments of the locals getting freshly made hot noodles. And as she said, lanzhou noodles, very, very traditional Chinese. I won't call it delicacy. To me, it's more like an everyday meal. But right now, in the earthquake zone, it seems extremely precious, especially when people can eat it hot. Let me remind you, that is an area with extremely weak infrastructure. A lot of the locals living by the mountains, they have very weak, not just electricity, but also transportation and also telecommunication. So setting the makeshift shelters is already a very hard stuff for local authorities to really achieve, but also how to keep people safe and how to keep them warm is also very important. But also we are sending medical assistance teams coming from all across the country to the earthquake zone, helping locals and also those who are affected, who are injured. And our reporter Ke Qingfu, he earlier talked to some of the doctors at Xizang Hospital discussing the latest rescue efforts there. Let's turn to our reporter Ke Qingfu.
Good afternoon. I'm now at Xizang People's Hospital, where many of the injured people from the earthquake-hit area are getting treated. Today, I'll be here to visit a few frontline doctors who are directly involved in the disaster relief efforts. Let's go. Dr. Yu Degang, he's the director of the Xizang 8 project in orthopedics, and he's from Shanghai Night People's Hospital, which is very known by its trauma treatment. 那个于主任您好，我们知道就是当那个地震发生的时候，您还在度假当中，能不能方便再给我们讲述一下那天是怎么来进行这个援助医疗的这个经历吗？
对，我们是整个医疗队是在元旦之前刚刚从日喀则返回上海，正在休假当中，然后在地震是月7号发生的，那么在月7号上午，就是我也从新闻报道我也看到了。 那么当时我也时刻在关注这个事情的发展，那么接下来我也就是跟他们当地医生也沟通这个事情，也了解这个时刻灾情的发展。那么就是在中午的时候，我们领队书记王小华书记就通知我，因为我是骨科医生嘛，可能要优先用得到，可能要时刻准备好。那么我们就准备好，大约在下午4到5点钟的时候，4点半，那么我们王小华书记整个医疗队。 上海的组织部就通知我们就是尽快的集合，立刻返回来日喀则，返回来西藏。然后在第2天1月8号下午2到3点钟，我就返回来这个日喀则市人民医院，然后马上我就在投入工作当中。当时有收治了大约有20个病人，那我就赶紧的把20个病人从轻重缓急病情梳理了一遍。对，这是一件事。那么在20号晚上，就是8号晚上，我们整个医疗队又开了一个碰头会，工作的一个具体部署。但是当时呢也同来自全国各地的大约有4家的医生，我们当时晚上也做了一个碰头会， 的一个初步交接工作的初步安排，这是件事，好吧
？So Dr. Yu told us that on January 7th he was on vacation after 4 months medical assistant in Xizang, but after the earthquake happened, he was informed to come back again as soon as possible. So the medical workers in Shanghai, they rallied in the afternoon of January 7th, and they start coming to Xizang. And by the time of January 8th, all the medical workers have arrived the city and start to work. By then, there were 20 patients waiting for treatment, and due to Dr. Yu's medical expertise, so he was in charge of the treatment work here, together with 4 other teams from other parts of China. 那么于主任，想您简单介绍一下您在这个主要工作的原因。
首先呢，因为我在这边已经工作了半年了，就是对这边的工作环境非常熟悉。对，然后第一呢，工作环境熟悉；第二，从身体上也适应这边的，所以呢，我觉得这边是需要我的，我就立刻返回到这边来。第一呢，我自己可以亲自，因为我也是一个非常专业的医生嘛，我有技术优势，我可以自己来亲自来参与到这些伤员的救治过程，这第一个。第二个呢，因为我在这边已经工作过半年，对整个环境都非常熟悉，可以做一个很好的协调，来自各个医院的，来自华西医院、协和医院、上海6院、自治区人民医院、拉萨市人民医院各个方面的医生来协调他们一起来把我们整个的救援工作，来把力量集中起来，能更高效、更快速的来救治我们病患的这些伤员，就是用一个沟通协调，就是把他们的这些各方面工作一起来凝聚起来，这是我的第2方面工作对于这个东西。
Okay. So Dr. Yu told us that in addition to his regular work of trauma treatment, because he has the expertise of treating those wounded people from the because he has the professional expertise of trauma treatment. So and he has the experience of working here after, for half a year. So Dr. Yu here is in charge of mobilizing all the medical resources from all parts of China. So we have about 20 medical teams now in Xizang. So Dr. Yu is assigning work every day for the patients.
那么于医生，这次我们这个在这个灾情的这个救援当中，这个主要的这个困难在哪里？然后我们是怎么解决的呢？
我们主要困难呢，就是这是我们的短时间内，可能我们在1天2天内就迅速的收治了大约我们全院收治了大约90个病人。那么这些病人来到我们日喀则市人民医院，那我们要迅速启动一个要给这些病人一个快速的诊断治疗方案。那么如何快速诊断治疗方案呢？我们整个医疗队，就是我们上海医疗队，是我们这里是有一个叫多学科协作的一个应急模式。如果来了一个床上的病人，那我们会在一个我们群里，或者我们有一个组织人来通知大家，来3-5分钟我们会到场，立刻来对这个病人做出一个全面的诊断治疗这个方案。出诊断之后，我们就会有一个包括从诊断。包括从检查，然后到治疗方案，我们会迅速做出一个来给患者一个初步的方案。那么诊断之后，我们就能快速的把它收到病房里来。对，也就是说我们是一个多学科，就是多团队。因为我们这次是上海的医疗队是各个学科都有的，不只有骨科的、心外科的、床上的，各个学科都有。那我们这几个人呢，就是一个叫床上中心团队，那么可以迅速的组织起来，给这个病人一个全面的、系统的诊断，迅速收治。如果是骨科的医生，如果这个病人是骨科问题，那么立马收到骨科来；如果是心外科问题，我们迅速来；如果是普外科，那立马好，可以迅速收治。
谢谢于医生，我们就不打扰您工作，请您
好，谢谢。那我就查病人。好，谢谢。
好，于医生，谢谢您的配合。
对，好，谢谢，对，谢谢，对。
So we will leave Dr. Yu for his work, and he's going to check his patients now. So according to Dr. Yu, now the main difficulty of this time is a large number of injured people coming into hospital in a very short time.
However, to deal with the situation, Dr. Yu and the team from Shanghai, they have this trauma treatment center, and they prepared a special mechanism to mobilize the doctors from all kinds of with all kinds of expertise, and will give analysis in a very short time and decide which doctor is the best to give the proper treatment. And that's for now for Dr. Yu, and we'll go to see the next doctor. Dr. Diang is from Huashan Hospital. He's the director of a Xizang 8 project in the Department of General Surgery. Now we are at the treat room of the General Surgery Department of Rikaza People's Hospital. Standing behind me is Dr. Diang. 好，首先能方便介绍一下您在这边的这个主要工作吗？
是，我们普外科的话，这边呢主要负几块工作。因为地震之后的话呢，我们第一时间派了我们的副主任金美教授到定日的现场去救灾。然后呢，当天7号跟8号呢，我们主要是有当班的值班医生在急诊室配合急诊医生做一个病人的分检，然后筛选出跟普外科相关的重病人，然后收治上来。所以呢，目前我们总共收治了3位重症的病人。
So Dr. D told us, some doctors in this department have already been sent to the county where the earthquake happened, and including the vice director of this department. And other than that, so they will check the urgent patients and decide which patients will be sent to this department to get their proper treatment. 那么在这些急重患者的这个病例中有哪些是有没有一个您可以跟我们分享，让我们了解一下现在这个情况是什么样的？
好的，我们接收了一个比较重的病人，这个病人呢是一个骨盆骨折合并有腹腔盆腔出血的病人，来的时候有视觉性休克，病情很危重，所以当天值班的我们鄂主任直接就手术进去探查了，然后做了一个盆腔止血，然后当时还会同我们的泌尿科医生一起做了，但是这个病人回来之后的话，骨盆出血还是有，还是有持续性的出血，所以呢，我们又请了我们的放射科，包括骨科医生，然后包括后来支援我们的四川华西的医药队跟北京协和的医药队，我们做了一个多学科的讨论，然后讨论的结果觉得这个病人还是需要做一个 DSA 下的一个栓塞手术，所以我们第2天8号晚上我们就急诊做了一个栓塞手术，由我们肌肉科的马主任跟我一起做的。然后这个病人终于把血止住了，所以这个病人目前恢复还是比较良好的。
好 ，So Dr. D shared with us an example, a patient who is in a very severe condition, who has the problem of pelvic fracture and other serious problems. So after discussing with the doctors from other departments and doctors from Chengdu, so they decided to have the surgery quickly here. So during the treatment, there's a very key equipment named DSC, digital subtraction angiography. So due to the rapid improvement of the facilities here, so now the People's Hospital of Xizang has the very equipment, and with the help of that, so the patient got the proper treatment. So in the beginning, the treatment has the problem of bleeding, and now he's in a very stable condition. 那么谢谢您，谢谢您，就是接下来我们就不耽误您了。谢谢，辛苦了。Okay. So Dr. Dava Zhongda is now checking his patient, and he's coming soon, and we are waiting outside the patient room. 你好，大瓦医生，你好，就是我们很快首先呢，我们知道您是在这个地震的第一时间就前往了这个地震的现场。对。您方便讲讲那边的情况和那边的工作吗？
可以。我当时就是1月17号接到上级部门的命令以后，我就到前方去了。去了以后，一看到地震的就是震源地方，一看到了很冲突情形，病人很多，尤其是危重病人特别多。然后呢，就是我在这里的话，主要是危重病人的一个分流。这个分流呢，主要是第一就是把危重病人及时就这是就是路况，一个是路况，第二个呢衔接的工作。路况呢，主要是我们那时候120衔接特别好。当然，第一就危重病人一来，马上就我们评估他的生命体征，然后如果是那种内出血的话，我们先在那里稳定，才能送到120，然后送到这边，是这边一衔接。到目前为止，我们在那里的话，从地震到现在没有一例病人死亡的。那么这个是我觉得当时我也是压力很大，但是还是做到这一个是很好。那第二呢，就是 当时也是路况特别好。如果路况不好的话，我在那里压着病人很多，这样的话，那我在那边的话压力一大，那就肯定是不行的。一个是120衔接好，第二呢路况好，这方面的话，我觉得是很好的一个。
好的，谢谢大家宝贵时间。明天吗？
谢谢，
好，感谢。So Dr. Davajunda told us that he was immediately sent to the earthquake-hit area, Dingri County, and he was in charge of the triage work there to decide which patients will be sent to the city and which will be treated immediately at site. No single death happened under his watch. At the same time, there are so many people with severe conditions, and many of them have been sent to Rikaza People's Hospital and other hospitals in time to get proper treatment. And during the process, Davajunda told us, because of the innumerous number of ambulances waiting behind, and the local authority opened the green channel for those ambulances and other vehicles for this disaster relief work and rescue work. So the traffic was the traffic is really good for the entire time, and also because the fast development of the infrastructure in recent years, the roads are all working really well without serious disruption, and that's it. Oh. So disaster relief is still at a critical stage, and everyone here is making all out efforts to save lives as many as possible to eventually ensure a decisive victory in this tough battle against the earthquake. And that's all for today's live. Thank you for watching. I'm Kurt Qinfu at the Xizang People's Hospital. Bye.
That's our reporter Kurt Qinfu talking to some of the local doctors, some of them being sent to Xizang Autonomous Region, some of them are local doctors treating some of the severe patients who are transferred from relatively natural gathering villages. I hope our colleagues, not just our reporters, but also cameramen, can really stay safe there, but also for all the rescue teams sent from, all across China, I hope they can stay safe as well. We are seeing, firefighters, medical staff, including doctors, also volunteers and some of the officials sent to the earthquake-stricken area, those including a total of over 15,000 people sent to the earthquake zone. And let me remind you, this is a zone that is very remote. First, it's in Xizang Autonomous Region, then it's in Rikaza, probably one of the highest point in the world, with an average altitude of over 4,300 meters above sea level. And also, some of the aftershocks are very, very concerning as well. Within the 72 hours of the earthquake, we are seeing over 1,600 aftershocks. And also infrastructure condition is really weak there, as our reporters have shown that lots of hot food being offered there seems like an everyday thing, but in earthquake area it is extremely precious because local conditions are not at the best right now. We're seeing weak infrastructure, including weak electricity, weak transportation, and also weak telecommunication. And a lot of the villagers are living by the mountain, making it extremely hard to really send those assistance or needs of goods into the area. And also another factors that brings difficulties to the rescue work, including the freezing weather. Lowest temperature can reach a negative 15 degrees or even negative 18 degrees overnight. And also elder population and also young kids being the main or like the major population in the epicenter, Dingri County. So those are some of the difficulties that we are seeing in the earthquake-stricken area. But we also talked to an earthquake expert earlier, and she told us if there's any possibility for further aftershock. Let's take a look.
So for this Dingri earthquake, my team and our laboratory, we predicted possible landslides within 200 kilometers from the epicenter. And the results and our conclusion show a very low chance of large-scale landslides in the region. I think Stephen just mentioned the area actually on the plateau, so it's quite not really rugged terrain like in the other parts of the China, like in the margins of the Tibetan Plateau. So this is part of the reason why there are not so many large-scale landslides. And the other reason is the relatively high risk areas in the remote mountainous regions, which are actually far from the residential area. So the chance of direct damage to the people are quite low. And we also checked the latest satellite imagery after the earthquake and found no evidence of large landslides, which actually align very well with our model prediction results. However, there are no direct landslide damage, but there are dozens of small glacier lakes in the earthquake-affected area. So while there is no sign of immediately damage to these lakes, but rising temperature and snow melting may raising the risk in the future. So my suggestion is we need to pay attention, especially local authority need to pay attention to such kind of secondary geological hazards.
Well, she just listed out some of the difficulties and also regions that may bring actual, hard conditions to the local, rescue efforts. As we have been talking about in this whole live stream, it is a very remote area. It is really in one of the highest point on Earth, and the epicenter being Dingri County. That's an area with an average altitude of over 4,300 meters above sea level. That is one of the highest points on the Earth. And also we're seeing a lot of aftershocks within the 72 hours of the earthquake. And as the expert has said, a lot of glaciers are now, melting. So that may add the difficulty of the rescue work. Right now, the focus of the rescue efforts has turned to really the relocation of the affected villagers and also the post-disaster reconstruction work, as our reporters have shown you some of the very precious moments. At this point, it is very hard for for anyone really to enter that area, but our reporters, our cameramen have managed to go inside the area. So hopefully they can stay safe along with other rescue teams, some of them being firefighters sent to, all across the country, some of them being medical staff. There are also volunteers and officials, really transported themselves to the earthquake zone. And hopefully they can stay safe with all of the locals there. Now, some of the latest efforts from the central government, including they've ordered all-out efforts to save lives and minimize casualties, and really urged actions to prevent secondary disasters, properly resettle affected residents, and also handle the aftermath effectively. Now, in another meeting on Thursday that is very recent, chaired by Chinese President Xi Jinping, he stressed that wholehearted work must be done to ensure the basic living conditions of the affected residents, make good arrangement for their temporary and also transitional period settlement, and ensure that they stay warm in the winter time. We've been talking about the safety of the local residents, because we're really afraid that the freezing weather may, affect the safety of the locals there. So that's why we are making those makeshift shelters, some of them being tents, some of them being actual buildings, hoping that they can stay safe during this freezing cold weather time. All right, a total of 100 million yuan was also allocated, by the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Emergency Management on Tuesday to really support the disaster relief efforts. And another 100 million yuan was allocated by the National Development and Reform Commission to support the post-disaster emergency recovery. And in addition, the Chinese Transport and Finance ministries have also allocated 30 million yuan. That's around $4 million to support road repairs, to really to help restore the transportation and to help restore the local infrastructure efforts. Although slowly, but we are gradually seeing efforts and progress making there. Now that's our special live stream, bring you some of the latest on Xizang earthquake. Our reporters are still there. Hopefully they can stay safe and bring you still the latest in our next few episodes, but stay with us. And for now, our live is over. If you have any further questions, remember to leave us comments down below in our official app and also on our website and also on our various social media handles, including our X, Facebook, Twitter, and also other platforms. If you have any further questions, we'll make sure to have our reporters answer them for you. But for now, bye.